Unit 11. Exercise 1. Sometimes it's important to disagree. All the great social reforms which took place in the 18th century, for instance, began with the dedicated campaigns of a handful of people who saw something wrong and did not let it rest. Slavery was widely accepted in Europe in the 18th century, but as a result of consistent campaigning, the slave trade was made illegal near the beginning of the 19th century, and the owning of slaves became illegal a few years later. Social psychologists Moscovici and Nemeth showed that if just a few people stick to a particular view which they are convinced is right, then over time they can have a great deal of influence on a larger group. The important thing, though, is that those people who are in the minority and trying to influence the majority should be seen to be genuine, consistent, and resisting social pressure. If we see people acting like that, over time we become curious about why they are doing it, and so are likely to think more seriously about what they are saying. Exercise 2. Attention is selective. We cannot focus on everything, and the knowledge we bring to a given situation allows us to direct our attention to the most important elements and to ignore the rest. The extent to which our schemas and expectations guide our attention was powerfully demonstrated by an experiment in which participants watched a videotape of 2 teams of 3 people, each passing a basketball back and forth. The members of one team wore white shirts, and the members of the other team wore black shirts. Each participant was asked to count the number of passes made by the members of one of the teams. 45 seconds into the action, a person wearing a gorilla costume strolled into the middle of the action. Although a large black gorilla might seem hard to miss, only half the participants noticed it. The participants' schemas about what is likely to happen in a game of catch directed their attention so intently to some parts of the videotape that they failed to see a rather dramatic stimulus they did not expect to see. Exercise 3. With the rise of modern science, new habits of mind developed. The method of the sciences and the image of scientific narratives became unquestioned and reinforced the new habits of mind, becoming an accomplice to those that would best accommodate the new image. These habits of mind became a duplication in the classroom of what the sciences were supposed to be doing in the laboratory. They developed clear and distinct ideas, imitating mathematical models that are hypothetical, abstract, ahistorical, and humanly disembodied. Descartes, Newton, Galileo, Locke, and Rousseau are the best examples. The mind was trained to repeat certain logical operations until a habit was developed of reading the world according to those skills. Even if the reading was supposed to be disembodied and therefore objective, the result was that the viewpoints and skills became embodied in those using them. For the older habits of mind, external cosmologies, now considered outdated, were substituted in all classrooms. Exercise 4. Commodities do not go to market all on their own. Someone has to take them there. Goods must be moved, prices agreed, and only after a long and complicated process will the commodity in question be there for the end user to enjoy. This applies to films and videos as much as it does to any other commodity, and it applies even in that sector of the film and video business that likes to think of itself as remote from and even antagonistic to the regular processes of commodity exchange. But perhaps because of this aversion, the process by which commodities get to market, generally referred to in the film trade as distribution, is the least studied of all the aspects of cinema and other forms of moving image. A lot is written about film and video production, about the films and videos produced, and about how they are received by the spectator, but very little about the intermediate stages between production and consumption. Sometimes it seems as if, in the world of cinema and the moving image, commodities do indeed mysteriously get to market all on their own.